The Varkani were known across 12 star systems as the most feared warriors the galaxy had ever produced. Their massive wolf-like bodies stood 7 feet tall at the shoulder. Their claws could tear through ship hulls. Their fangs had ended countless battles before they truly began. Every species in the Galactic Council kept their distance from Varkani territory. Every species except one. Marcus Chen had lived among the Varkani of the Iron Fang Pack for 3 standard years now. He was their first human contact. He was also the only soft-skinned creature they had ever allowed into their sacred hunting grounds. The elders still remembered the day he arrived. His small ship had crashed during a magnetic storm. Any other species would have been eaten or driven away, but Marcus had done something no alien had ever done before. He had looked the Alpha directly in the eyes and smiled. The Varkani did not understand smiles. They showed teeth only when preparing to kill. Yet this tiny human had shown his teeth and then offered his hand. He had not trembled. He had not begged. He had simply waited. Alpha Corax had been so confused by this behavior that he let the human live. That decision changed everything. Now Marcus was family. The pack had given him a name in their tongue. They called him Soft Claw. It was meant as an insult at first. Over time, it became a title of respect. Marcus could not hunt like them. He could not fight like them. But he could do things they never imagined possible. He could heal wounds that would have killed their strongest warriors. He could build fires that kept the cold season at bay. He could tell stories that made even the oldest elders sit in wonder. Most importantly, Marcus understood something the Varkani had forgotten. He understood that strength was not always measured in blood. Little Reyna was the youngest cub of the pack. She was barely 4 cycles old. Her fur was still soft and silver instead of the dark iron gray of adults. Her eyes were wide and curious about everything. She followed Marcus everywhere. The other cubs played war games and practiced hunting. Reyna preferred to sit beside the human and watch him work. She asked questions that adults found strange. Why did the stars move? What made water fall from the sky? Why did the human not have fur? Marcus answered every question with patience. He had become her teacher in ways the pack never expected. Reyna learned to count using human numbers. She learned the names of plants that could heal and plants that could kill. She learned that the universe was much bigger than the hunting grounds of her ancestors. The other warriors thought this was wrong. Cubs should learn to fight. Cubs should learn to hunt. What use were stars and numbers when enemies came to take your territory? But Alpha Corax allowed it. He had seen what human knowledge could do. He had watched Marcus save 3 warriors from a poison that would have killed them all. He had watched Marcus predict a great storm and lead the pack to safety. There was power in knowing things, even if that power did not draw blood. It was during the season of long shadows when everything changed. The pack had gathered for the marking ceremony. This was the most sacred ritual of the Varkani people. When a warrior earned their first battle scar, they stood before the entire pack. The scar was displayed with pride. The story of how it was earned was told. Then the warrior was welcomed as a true adult. Elder Voss had earned a new scar. His left shoulder carried a long, jagged line from a fight with a rock serpent. The beast had attacked during a solo hunt. Voss had killed it alone. The fight had lasted 3 hours. He had won, but barely. The scar was proof of his victory. Reyna sat at the front of the gathered pack. Her mother had told her to watch carefully. One day she would earn her own scar. One day she would stand before the pack as Elder Voss stood now. She should be proud. She should feel excited. Instead, Reyna felt something she had never felt before. Fear. Elder Voss removed the ceremonial cloth from his shoulder. The scar was still fresh. The skin around it was red and angry. The wound had been deep. You could see where the serpent's teeth had torn through muscle. Some parts had not healed correctly. The flesh was twisted and strange. Reyna began to tremble. She could not stop herself. Her small body shook as she stared at the damaged flesh. This was what awaited her: pain, suffering. Her beautiful silver fur would one day be marked by violence. She would carry wounds that never fully healed. The thought made her sick with terror. Her trembling did not go unnoticed. The warriors around her exchanged glances. A cub showing fear at a marking ceremony was shameful. Her mother looked down with concern in her eyes. Her father's jaw tightened with disappointment. Reyna wanted to be brave. She wanted to make them proud, but she could not stop shaking. Then she felt a warm hand on her back. Marcus had moved silently through the crowd. He knelt beside her now. His strange flat face was close to hers. His eyes were soft with understanding. The pack watched in silence. This was a sacred ceremony. An outsider should not interfere, even an outsider who had been accepted as family. Alpha Corax raised one massive paw to stop Marcus, but something in the human's expression made him pause. Marcus did not speak. He slowly rolled up the sleeve of his jacket. Reyna looked at his arm with wet eyes. She saw something she had never noticed before. A scar. It ran from his wrist to his elbow. The skin was pale and raised. It was old, very old. Reyna stopped trembling. She stared at the mark on the human's arm. Soft Claw had a scar, too. The soft-skinned creature who could not hunt had been wounded just like a Varkani warrior. Marcus pointed at the scar. He spoke quietly so only Reyna could hear. He told her the story. He had gotten it when he was very young, younger than she was now. He had fallen from a tree while trying to rescue a small animal. The branch had torn his skin open. He had cried and screamed. He had been so afraid. His mother had held him while the doctors fixed his arm. He had thought he would die from the pain. Reyna listened with wide eyes. The human had been scared, too. The human had felt pain, too. But he was still here. He was still smiling. Marcus did something then that shocked the entire pack. He lifted his arm to his lips. He kissed the old scar gently. Then he reached out and took Reyna's small paw in his hand. He spoke words the pack would never forget. Scars are not shame, he said. Scars are proof that you survived. Every mark on your body tells a story. It says you faced something terrible and you did not die. It says you are stronger than the thing that tried to break you. When you earn your first scar, little one, you should not cry with fear. You should smile with pride, because that scar means you won. Reyna looked down at her own unmarked paw. Then she looked at the scar on Marcus and arm. Then she looked at Elder Voss standing proud before the pack. Something changed in her young eyes. The fear did not disappear completely, but something else appeared alongside it. Understanding. She reached out with one small claw. She touched the human's scar very gently. The flesh was smooth and strange under her pad. This mark had been part of him for so long. It was not ugly. It was not shameful. It was simply part of his story. Alpha Corax had seen enough. He stepped forward. The entire pack held their breath. The Alpha stopped in front of Marcus and Reyna. His massive form blocked out the light of the twin moons. His eyes burned with an emotion no one could read. Then slowly, impossibly, the Alpha lowered his head. It was the highest sign of respect a Varkani could show. He touched his forehead to Marcus and shoulder. The pack gasped. This honor was reserved for the greatest warriors, for those who had proven their worth 100 times over. No outsider had ever received it. The Alpha spoke in his deep, rumbling voice. He said that Marcus had taught them something they had forgotten. The Varkani had become so proud of their scars that they forgot what scars really meant. They had made scars into symbols of violence. They had forgotten that scars were truly symbols of survival. He looked at little Reyna. He told her that she was right to be afraid. Pain was frightening. Violence was frightening. Only fools felt no fear. But she should also know that fear did not make her weak. Fear kept you alive. Fear made you careful. The key was not to let fear stop you from living. One by one, the warriors of the pack stepped forward. They formed a circle around Marcus and Reyna. Each warrior bore scars. Some had a few, some were covered in them. They stood tall and proud. But now there was something new in their stance. Warmth. Acceptance. Reyna's mother knelt beside her daughter. She showed her a scar on her hip. She told the story of how she got it. It was not a glorious battle story. She had gotten it protecting Reyna when she was just a newborn. A falling rock had nearly crushed the cub. Her mother had thrown herself over the baby. The rock had torn her flesh instead. She had never told anyone this story. She had been ashamed that her scar was not from battle. But now she understood. That scar was more important than any battle wound. That scar meant her daughter lived. That scar was love made permanent. Other warriors began sharing their own stories. Not all scars came from enemies. Some came from accidents. Some came from protecting loved ones. Some came from simple mistakes. Each story was different. Each story was important. Reyna stood in the center of this circle of scarred warriors. She no longer trembled. She looked at Marcus with gratitude shining in her young eyes. The human had given her something no hunt could provide. He had given her understanding. The ceremony continued. Elder Voss received his honor. But something was different now. When he displayed his scar, he did not just speak of the battle. He spoke of the fear he felt when the serpent first appeared. He spoke of the moment he thought he would die. He spoke of the relief when he finally won. The story was richer, more real, more true. That night the pack feasted under the twin moons. Marcus sat in the place of honor beside the Alpha. Little Reyna sat on his lap. She had fallen asleep with her head against his chest. Her small paws twitched as she dreamed. Perhaps she dreamed of the scars she would one day carry. Perhaps those dreams were no longer nightmares. The Alpha looked at the sleeping cub. Then he looked at the human who held her. He spoke quietly. He said that his people had traveled the stars for 1,000 generations. They had conquered worlds. They had defeated every enemy. But they had never met a species that could defeat them with kindness. Humans were strange creatures, soft and weak and fragile. Yet somehow they had done what no army ever could. They had made the Varkani feel something new. Marcus asked what that feeling was. The Alpha was quiet for a long moment. Then he answered with a single word: hope. The stars turned slowly overhead. The fire crackled and popped. The pack slept soundly around their human brother. And somewhere in her dreams, little Reyna smiled. She was no longer afraid of scars. She understood now that every mark told a story. And her story was just beginning.